How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. We just had something really interesting happening. We had some very large selling again from a very large entity. We had some pretty heavy buying as well from a couple other entities. Big news yesterday, and something pretty bad is happening out there. Let me explain though. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this. Also, there's a link underneath the video to Margex where you can start trading cryptocurrency on leverage. I opened this up. It's a beauty. It's up 126% since yesterday. And we had another one that I closed that paid for my steak dinner. So if you want to try out Margex, if you want to trade crypto, there's a link underneath the video. Make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure you check their terms and conditions. And if you don't like Margex for some reason, there are a couple other links underneath the video. For example, CoinW is giving you up to $15,000 in BTC when you sign up and start trading. And we have Margex giving you up to $5,000 in Caspa. So you can check out those links underneath the video. There's some other links too to WEEX and Blowfin if you want to try those out. Let's start here though. No, let's start here. US debt up $65 billion today to a record $35.29 trillion. Please keep selling your Bitcoin debt, Larry Fink. This is interesting because of the fact this never goes down, right? Like there's always a higher high. There's always a higher low. If there even is a low, right? It usually just continues to hit all-time highs. It's not like there's ever a day where the deficit is negative or that we actually have surplus of tax revenue or anything like that. So the debt just continues to go up day after day after day. And people are looking short term. And I'll actually show you something in a different video that's really interesting, a fun scenario to think about. But yeah, this continues to happen. We are seeing some interesting selling from the ETFs, which I'll show in a second. But first, let's talk about Nvidia. Nvidia, they had high expectations yesterday. The whisper numbers, which were like coming out from JPM, something that like maybe they had heard that that Nvidia was going to do even better than what they had said in the guide. Well, their whisper numbers were even beat. So the guide was 27.44 to 28.56, and the whisper number was 29.85. The EPS whisper number was 69. Now, what actually came out? They had 30.04 billion in revenue, and then the whisper earnings was just slightly below, right? And so 69 cents or 68 cents. They also announced an $50 billion buyback. Now this is kind of crazy because $12 billion of net inflows into the Bitcoin ETFs made Bitcoin go from 45,000 to 74,000. Now keep in mind there are also, some people watching this buying in, right? People probably like you and me that were really excited about this new ETF, and then it was probably more than 12 billion of inflows. But he says, Quentin says, 500 billion increase in market cap. That's a 41x multiplier. Nvidia just announced they will buy back 50 billion of their shares. Imagine if they bought Bitcoin instead. 50 billion times 41x multiplier equals 2.05 trillion in Bitcoin market cap. That would bring Bitcoin's price above 150,000. Do you realize how early we are? Now, I said, there were probably other people buying, and there's probably a reduction in selling around this point too, because people were looking to see what happened moving into the bull run, moving into the halving, after BlackRock started buying. But the same thing would happen if Nvidia announced that they were going to buy $50 billion worth of Bitcoin. Like, people would not sell, most likely. So then they'd have to pay up a large sum of money for each Bitcoin. So this is quite interesting. This is really interesting to think about because there's endless money. There are endless companies that could be interested in Bitcoin that are making cash flows. Debt continues to go up. Inflation continues up. So eventually, some big company will buy Bitcoin. Now, one of those companies could be Dell. Dell actually is announcing earnings today. They're actually down 5% pre-market, but they are a company that a lot of people think the founder and the owner, the main shareholder that is, probably hold some Bitcoin. He's talked about Bitcoin a lot recently and maybe is indicating that Dell has bought some Bitcoin. Now, this company also is down a decent amount from the high back in June. And you can see here, actually went down 50% at one point. So maybe they're just going to do some buybacks. I wouldn't assume that they're buying Bitcoin necessarily. Maybe they're just going to do some buybacks with cash flow because they're so discounted from where they were. But I would not be extremely surprised if maybe they were talking about Bitcoin or mentioned it or maybe even bought a bit. Now, usually that doesn't happen, to be clear. Like if I had to give a 50-50 shot, or if I had to guess whether they did buy Bitcoin or not, I'd say probably not, because I don't want to get my hopes up. And chances are, right, like they've had the opportunity to buy Bitcoin in the past and they haven't. So yes, we have seen the founder talk about Bitcoin more and how scarcity is value, but it might take a little bit longer. Who knows? So we had Nvidia earnings, we had Dell. We also had some inflow data. BlackRock did not buy anything yesterday, just like the day before. And keep in mind, BlackRock is really a proxy for hedge funds. So they have not bought anything the last 2 days. That could be some of the reason that the price of Bitcoin has been a little bit muted. But that's probably due to the Nvidia earnings, as we've talked about. A lot of people watching the Nvidia earnings, paying attention, seeing what happens there, seeing if they can buy the dip or buy the pump. And then we had large selling again from ARKB. Another $60 million, another 1,000 Bitcoin. So Cathie Wood's fund has sold 2,700 Bitcoin in 2 days, the largest outflow in ARK's history. So they are dumping a significant amount, but there are buyers out there. When you're scared, someone just bought $191 million worth of Bitcoin from Coinbase. When you're scared, someone bought $60 million worth of Bitcoin from Binance. They now hold $450 million in BTC. And Mr. 100 coming in and scooping up some more Bitcoin as well. Since my last video where I talked about this, Mr. 100's bought another 410 Bitcoin. Just over the last 2 days, buying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times in 2 days. Mr. 100 has bought 100 Bitcoin more times than I've had meals in the last 2 days, like double as many. Just crazy the amount of buying that Mr. 100 does. And this is bound to happen in the future, right? We could have several Mr. 100s that are all trying to buy up the available Bitcoin. Again, if you have a cash flowing business and you want something that can't be taken away from you, that you can bring anywhere in the world, that maybe not everyone knows that you're tied to, Bitcoin is probably the way to go. Let me know your thoughts, though, underneath the video. Let me know what you think about the Nvidia buyback Bitcoin multiplier. Let me know down below in the comment section. If you do want to trade, again, there's the link to Margex underneath the video where you can get that big cash buy airdrop. There's also that link to CoinW where you can get that freaking huge Bitcoin airdrop or Bitcoin bonus. You can withdraw that off the exchange too. So if you do a bunch of trading and you get some kind of big bonus, you can just go store away your quarter of a Bitcoin if you want and go throw it on cold storage. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Check out the links underneath, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.